Welcome back to another Market Close / podcast where we get to talk about a lot of different things. Market's actually somewhat rallying a little bit going into the close. Some cool earnings that we'll get to talk about today on top of some of the other news that's going on. Obviously, we'll have to touch on some of the latest with Tesla and the SEC. Just posted a video on the main channel about that. A little bit on DJT, Donald Trump. His DJT stock up 3.3% today. Market was a little funny today. Had some heart palpitations there during the day after running wild in the morning. Look at that. The Q's almost perfectly bouncing off that 438.9 level, trying to come back. Tesla, this was just remarkable. I mean, we opened where'd we go? We were all the way over here, bounced at the open off of that 170 line, come all the way up here, and once we break this 174 line, we run all the way up to 175, only to sort of settle on that 174 line almost for the entire day. So kind of a wild day, 3 minutes to go to the close. And then we'll get those earnings as well. NVIDIA only down about 7 basis points. So it was up somewhere around 0.5% earlier in the day. So a little bit of a relaxation in the market throughout the day. It's almost like people are getting a little exhausted about the idea of throwing new money into stocks because we're not running into all-time new highs. Mikey, when Bitcoin was running crazy, you mentioned, we're going to go to all-time new highs. And that was when it was like 48K or whatever. You were saying that. We did. And now that's run off. Now we're basically in this sort of wedge where we're on a downtrend. And what do you think's going on? Do you think it's because it's not going up anymore, it's maybe not getting as much inflow as maybe otherwise it would, or what's your take on this?
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. And there was a lot of catalysts at the beginning of this year that kind of shot it up. And even though I was anticipating all-time highs, they actually came a little bit faster than I expected.
They did come pretty fast.
So historically, it's usually, months after the halving that you see this increase in value. And so, I don't know. I don't think the bull run is necessarily over if you zoom out. I still anticipate personally all-time highs to come like this calendar year, perhaps.
Even more than what we already had.
Yes.
Nice.
Just because that bump came like way faster than expected. It basically felt like a little bit of a bull trap. But there were a lot of catalysts, so I understand. But when it comes to Bitcoin, there's not much fundamental analysis you can really do. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. It's all TA, so take that with a grain of salt.
That I guess, and maybe energy use, hash rates, and that. But beyond that, I see what you're saying. Most people, I would guess, aren't paying attention to that. You've got the Bitcoin rainbow up. Feel free to throw that up on screen as well. We got about a minute to go until the closing bell. Let's touch on that, and then I'm going to be covering as we get the numbers. Hood, ARM, Airbnb, some good earnings today, so we'll get those. So tell us about the rainbow a bit.
Yeah, Bitcoin rainbow. I mean, take this with a grain of salt too. It's something that historically has followed this pattern, which I've always found kind of interesting. But it's a logarithmic, so opposite of exponential kind of growth here with Bitcoin. And so the purple at the bottom, and this has been to clarify, this has been modified from the original rainbow chart that came out years and years ago. But if you take this for, if you value this at all, then you're seeing historically these halving marks over here. It's usually not till later that you see these spikes. So this was like a little bit of a premature spike. And if you think this has any value at all, then we would be anticipating in the next year or so. Yeah, it looks like in the next year or so, we might be anticipating highs of, maybe even 200, 250K. Who knows? Remains to be seen.
Wild. That's awesome. So market did just close, so we're going to be going into some delicious earnings here. And I think that rainbow, just to finish off, I think that's based on the idea of the limited supply of BTC, and that's what's kind of kept that driving up and to the right, essentially, over time. With that scale on the left, one time being between 1,000 and 10,000, then going to 100K, then a million.
Yeah, orders of magnitude on the left, yeah.
Logarithmic, but it's just remarkable. But then I wonder, can you do that to almost any? Like, I wonder if you put if you put Tesla on there, it'd be a sad-looking rainbow.
It'd be an inverse.
It'd be an upside-down rainbow. Or is it? But it's still a rainbow then. Technically, it's still a rainbow.
You're right.
It's the rainbow's
the end
color.
of the rainbow.
Yeah, where's the golden pot? It's in the SEC's office.
That's Elon's compensation plan you're talking about.
Do you all think people are going to vote for his compensation plan?
I do think so.
Yeah, I think so.
You think so? Really? Oh, you don't think there are people that are going to say, hey, we feel maybe Elon's been distracted with X and they're going to punish him?
I think that he heard that, and that's why he has made it very clear that he is back in charge and that he is back in the chair, and he has fired everybody that disagrees with him.
But that's scary because it kind of suggests that
He was out of control.
that he wasn't there. Exactly.
Yeah, no, I think that was a correct assumption. I think he's like, oh, I want this compensation plan.
Yeah.
I need to change some things. And had we not had that like 30% swing in 1 month, I don't know if he would have gotten it, but I think that might have pushed him over the edge.
It's interesting. I mean, there's also that fear, though, that what if, it's like, yeah, I'm going to work really hard. It's kind of like, the person who gets like really, really fit to get into a relationship, then they get what they want, they get into a relationship, and then everything kind of just lets go again. Could that happen with Elon again? I wonder if there are some people who have fears about that. Trade Desk just came out. Wow, Q1 beat 491 mil versus the 480 expected. They've got adjusted EPS 26 cents versus 22. And the Q2 forecast, this is always the big one, 566 expected, and coming in with Q2 to be at least 575. So that's a beat over at a Trade Desk. Now we're looking for about 10% volatility on Trade Desk. I don't think those numbers are going to be enough to get us 10%, but we should be able to get at least a few points. Okay, we got about 1.14. So, okay, we'll see what happens here with Trade Desk, but the number's pretty much in line with expectations. And remember, there's this weird thing going on with sort of Wall Street's expectations these days, that if you're not beating and then raising, like beating the beat expectations, beating the beat, that just it sounds wrong. What is it with this podcast? It's always this podcast. Sorry.
Yes, you.
No. That's funny. Anyway, we got... that's Trade Desk. We'll see what happens over at Beyond Meat, AMC, Airbnb, and Robinhood as well. Those are some of the other big ones we'll get. We do have Solar Edge also in about 2 minutes.
I did buy calls on Robinhood for fun.
Oh, did you?
1 minute before it closed, I bought calls.
Okay, so you didn't give Mikey a chance.
I didn't want to
take
give him a chance this time.
Were you guys able to make any money on
We
your
both
trades?
lost money.
Oh,
I anticipated we'd both lose. No.
Yeah. No, I got
when did you
crushed.
close it?
I closed it first thing this morning.
Like, there's first thing this morning, and there's
open,
the
a little
minute.
after. I lost like 33%.
Oh my god. Like how many minutes after the open? Like 15 minutes, an hour?
Probably like 30.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I missed it.
After 15 minutes,
I
you
totally
get the crush.
forgot. I had just assumed I had lost everything, and I was like, oh, I still have my option.
Yeah, no, you get crushed at, like, I noticed I had my Palantir option. I don't think I got any theta decay yesterday because it was actually up a little bit this morning. So I just quickly closed it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that, like, right at the open. Okay, Airbnb comes out, 2.14 billion. The estimate was 206. That's a Q1 beat. Q2 guide misses. Midpoint would be 271 billion, and the expectation was 274. So that's a miss on guide. Their adjusted EBITDA came in great for Q1, 424 versus 326 expected. Again, a miss on that guide. They did have more nights and experiences booked, 132.6 million. That's so many. 132.6 divided by 90 days. That's basically 1.4 million nights and experiences per night in a quarter. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot of app usage. That's wild. Okay, so EPS comes in at 41 cents versus 30. So we got beats across the board. Margin looks better. The only thing that's not so great is that forecast. But man, if there's one thing that a stock will get punished for, it's a bad forecast. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, look at that. Okay, well, I swear these lines are just something else. What the hell? It's literally just bobbing between two lines. Like, I didn't just draw these. Look at this. It runs up from no man's land. Basically here, top of the candle is 162, which is where I have a line. Then it candle wicks down to where I have a bottom line. This sticks or something else, man. All right, let's pull off that for a moment. Let's see what else we got, because I think we've got Solar Edge and Robin of the Hood coming in here. So not a surprise to see a miss there, given the forecast miss. Robinhood, 18 cents of EPS. Wow, net revenue, 618 million versus 546.
Phew.
That's a huge beat.
Good.
Assets under custody, 129.6 versus the 120 expected. Transaction-based revenue, massive beat. $329 million versus the 355 expected. Huge beat by Robinhood. A lot more people trading. I'm noticing a lot more interest as well in people checking out the stocks and site course because they want to be part of the trading. This morning, we were live trading Enphase, live in the course member live stream. I think today my P&L was up like 3 or 4K or whatever. I was only playing with about, I mean, I shouldn't say only, but I was playing with about a 14K trade. So I wasn't going like super, super heavy on it. But, I'm glad I was able to pick up 3K. Probably would have been a little bit higher, but I blame Jack. He walked in right as I was closing my option.
No.
And I accidentally bought more of the option instead of selling it because he walks in, Lauren's at the door, they're going to school. And then I'm live because we're live trading. So I mute the mic. I'm like, all right, have fun at school. Turn around, execute, and I'm like, all right, here's my thought, here's whatever, doing my explanation, and then I'm like, oh shit,
Dang.
Obviously, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but double check your trades before you hit those executes. Now I'm surprised Robinhood is turning red.
No. Really?
Yeah, it is.
Dang it.
Like it's bobbing like crazy, but it's bobbing between positive 1% and negative 0.5%. Now it's back to positive 1%. It's just moving pretty volatilely here. Let me see what the guide is. Crypto revenue comes in at 126 versus the 70.9. I mean, all of these numbers really beat. Monthly active users, this is what I'm noticing too, a lot more people active in trading. I mean, we're getting emails too from people who had the stocks and site course from like 2018 or 19. And they're like, Kevin, I want to be part of the live trading. I want to be a part of it. I want to be part of it. I want to see the trade alerts. We know they're not a guarantee to make money, but we want to see what you're seeing. We want to see where the sticks are. And so we're getting a lot of people emailing us that are sort of reactivating like, hey, lost my password or whatever. It's just sort of the basic customer support. Email us, obviously, if you ever have questions, staff@meetkevin.com. But not a surprise to me is to see that monthly active users number pop up by 21% over expectations. So Wall Street has no idea how active retail is again here in trading. So Airbnb misses forecast. Robinhood beats like crazy. ARM. Wow. Okay, interesting. So we got ARM that beat on Q4 they just reported, 928 mil versus 880. Q1, so their forecast comes in at a beat as well, 900 million versus the 868 million expected. So that's a beat. Then you've got 2025, their fiscal year 2025 revenue coming in at 3.9 billion. Ooh, the estimate was 4. So soft guidance for the entire year by a fraction. And that's probably going to punish them because in AI, you are not allowed to miss. Okay, Robinhood now up 4%.
You. All right.
And then, so let's go to ARM here. Oh, it's down 8%. Yeah, it's down to 97 bucks. You can't, like, you have to be, in order to be up in this market, you have to pull a Robinhood. You have to basically beat on your current quarter revenue and EPS. Then you have to beat on guidance, but you have to beat on guidance more than by what Wall Street is expecting you beat. Otherwise, you get armed, down 7%. And Robinhood, 5.5%.
We should have bought puts going into ARM.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. What did you buy on Robinhood?
I went to Hood at 18.5.
Okay, well, you're in the
18.5
money
strike.
now. Yeah, good for you. That's great. How much did you put on it?
Just one. I had 2 contracts. It was like 59, and I didn't know how much time I had, so I just bought 2 quick contracts and then
Nice.
took what I could get.
It's moving really nicely. It's at 19 bucks right now. So good job, Robin the Hood. Okay, what about Solar the Edge? The edge of the solar. Okay, yeah, not a surprise. Miss is over here. So we've got 265 at the midpoint on Q2 rev guide. The expectation was 309. So 265 divided by 309, that's a miss of 14%. Their gross margin is expected to be between negative and 0. RIP. Their Q1 revenue actually beat expectations, but their forecast is poopy doopy. I wonder if that's going to end up hitting Enphase, but we already heard the bad news. See, somebody asked me, they're like, how bad do you think Solar Edge is going to be this morning? I go, well, if they're anything like Enphase, they'll miss and it won't actually move. It's only down 1.7.
Oh my gosh, because this is already priced in from Enphase.
Markets are like so over solar right now. There's nobody that's actually like buying these solar stocks. So the leftover hodlers are like the Bitcoin hodlers. You know, like everybody who is like 16K, no problem. You got 10.
Yeah.
You know? It's like that cohort that's just keeping up these energy stocks. I'm a long-term investor type.
The reason I bought Robinhood calls was because my Uber driver perfectly timed the top and bottom of Bitcoin. And
That's what he
how I knew.
said.
Yep,
Yes,
that's
yes.
how I knew.
That's when the Uber drivers are trading. Okay. Well, that's a good metric. So next time, everybody has to buy calls when you're Uber driver. It's kind of like what is it? What's the saying? It's like when
Your shoe shine boy or whatever.
is talking stocks.
Yeah.
It's
time to sell.
You're talking shoe shine boy. That interesting. You and the boys. I was thinking like the strip club ladies talking. Okay. So Beyond Meat, you like that, don't you? You like what is it?
Beyond kind of sucks. Impossible is where it's at.
That's the one you like. That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah. So we'll see what they report here. So nothing new here so far on Airbnb, Robinhood, ARM. We've already covered those. Trade Desk we've covered. In about 3 minutes, we'll get AMC, and then I think Beyond Meat might be a few after that. What do y'all think's going to happen with AMC? Box office was a little light this. Beyond Meat's late. They were supposed to be out 7 minutes ago. But box office was a little light. I think it's down like 23% in Q1. But how bad is it going to get for AMC? Are they going to have to raise money again? Are they going to have to do another ape share? You know how much hate I got for that?
You got a lot of hate.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, this is a scam, man. This is a big scam. They're so mad.
Because it ran so hard at first, and everyone's like, look, you're wrong. And then, I don't even know. Yeah, it went to zero.
It went under $1. And then they people were holding AMC, which was like $8 or whatever. The ape went under $1. They merged them together. And now AMC is what, like $4 or $3? Yeah, $3.19.
Look,
Yeah.
Robinhood tells me how much I've made on my contract.
In after hours?
Yeah. Well, it just says like based off the current share price right now.
Oh, that's
you've
cool.
made $137, and then it's really like addicting because you can slide it. You can slide the scale and you can go as far as you want. It just tells you how much you could make if it did go to that price. So if
That's
Robinhood
clever.
went up 100%, I'd be like $4,000 up.
On $100. Yeah. It's Robinhood is really it's a great app. Like people just love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fantastic app. I still prefer to trade on Webull, but
Boomer.
Webull. Boomer. I thought you were gonna say communist. California, dude, using CCP Webull.
Yeah, I don't know where your data goes, bro. I know Vlad has my data. That's all right.
Well, you like Vlad.
When he was a young boy growing up in Bulgaria.
I like Vlad too. Okay, so ARM's now down about 10%. Oh, JK, Solar Edge is actually moving. It's down now 6%. Robinhood's 7%. I mean, those numbers were phenomenal.
They were great.
I mean, you saw my reaction. I saw it, I'm like, damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
There's some pretty good numbers there. Okay, then where's Beyond? What is beyond my ability to see what's going on, I guess.
It's fake news.
The knee slappers. The dad jokes. No.
Your dad joke game has been pretty strong, especially since you've had 7.
Every child makes the dad joke game like 10% better. Since I started at like 1% good at jokes, I'm at like, what, 5% now? Or whatever that would be.
Yeah.
So, okay. Actually, that'd be way less. 1 to the power of 1.1 to the power, 1 times 1.1 to the power of 7. I have to throw some parentheses in there.
1.948.
Yeah.
So I'm not even twice as good at my 1% dad
Almost.
jokes.
More kids. More kids.
More
More.
children.
More.
Maybe if I have one more child, I'll get to 2%.
A double.
Okay. So while we wait for either AMC or Beyond here, can somebody tell me what is wrong with RFK's brain? Is this like an excuse, or is he making this up, or does he have like pictures?
It was
Where
more,
made it.
The way I interpreted it was more like a hit piece trying to discredit him because it ended up kind of, I need to get the original source of how the New York Times got it, and I can go look at that. But basically,
You said the New York Times is fake news.
Basically what happened was
Comment section.
it came out in the deposition that he had been doing a lot of he had been having a lot of loss of memory and he was super foggy, so he went to go have a brain scan, and his surgeon found a dead worm in there that had eaten part of his brain.
How does that even get in there? That's
He did a lot of travels through Africa, and so it's
the water.
a parasite. Yeah,
It's a parasite. To add context, this was 14 years ago. This
Yeah,
was 2010.
it was a long time
this
ago.
didn't just happen.
it was the deposition of his divorce that
Yeah.
ended super messy, and I left this out of the e-hack.
and that
part.
went public?
That went public today.
I didn't know you were allowed to put depots
what-
from divorce public.
I don't think it was. That's why I think it was a leak. It shouldn't have been. His campaign has obviously commented on it, but but it's like 14 years ago, and they're like, he's healthy now, like he's fine. But eating part of your brain doesn't sound very healthy.
Did he regrow his brain?
I don't know if you can. Can you regrow
No,
brain
you
cells?
shouldn't, no.
I don't think so. I guess that'd be a GPT. Let's use the AI.
There's
See,
a
that's how
few
you know you're
things that'll
good.
trigger like neurogenesis, like the connection of nerves in
Synapses
your
and
brain.
stuff?
Yeah, but I don't think you can like develop more brain tissue just because you're missing some. Like I don't think it works like that.
Okay, I'm asking, can you regrow brain cells if eaten by a worm? That's what they said.
It's hop on like Google Trends. Everybody's searching for it.
It says the human brain cannot regenerate cells in the way other tissue can in the body.
Interesting.
Wow. Once they're damaged or destroyed, they're typically not replaced. Fascinating. The idea of a worm eating brain cells and those cells regrowing isn't supported by current scientific understanding. So
Poor RFK.
Yeah.
It was pretty much a nothing burger. But what I did think was interesting was somebody did a biography on him that was like not endorsed by RFK. Basically, somebody was just like, I'm going to write about your life even if you don't want me to. And they went into deep involvement into his divorce that ended up pretty messy. And his divorce ended up, if I understand it correctly, that his ex-wife committed suicide right before they could finalize the divorce.
Oh, that's terrible.
And it was like 3 days before, according to this biographer, that they had done like the estate planning and basically told her like, the more you take, the more you're going to ruin everybody's lives for finances.
Wow.
If I understood the political piece that was trying to interpret the New York Times piece.
Divorce is so messy, there are always three sides, right? There's the one side, the other side, and the truth. And it's so tough because, once I feel like you get attorneys involved on each side, the attorney's job, they're doing their job, is to get as much as possible from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And the hostilities are just terrible. I mean, my parents divorced when I was 6, so it's pretty sad for RFK. Yeah, what do y'all think about Trump? And I'm still waiting for AMC and Beyond Meat here. I don't know what's going on. But what do y'all think about Trump saying he doesn't want to debate RFK because, in his words, I don't even know him. Very low poll numbers, something like that.
It's a lose-lose for Trump if he debates RFK. Trump doesn't win because he gives RFK a platform, and RFK is enough of a third party. Enough people don't want to vote for Trump or Biden,
Right.
that I think if he gave the mic to RFK, he would. It doesn't benefit Trump.
Yeah, I think there were some polls. I actually threw them up on eHack. There's some polls that were showing that if you stack RFK versus Trump and RFK versus Biden, he actually does decently. Like, he actually pulls numbers. I've got that here somewhere. I'll find it in just a moment. But if you... here it is. No, here, it's not here. I'll find it. Anyway, but if you put Biden versus Trump and RFK in there, RFK barely shows up. Is at least what I'm seeing. So
That makes sense.
People are showing like, okay, when it's between the two big, as much as people hate having to pick between the two big, they pick between the two big. When they're given, okay, well, what about Trump versus RFK? He actually pulls a lot more weight. So maybe you're right about that platform.
Yeah.
I thought that was fascinating. So, okay. And, polls, too. I mean, polls are funny.
And I just don't know if it would go over very well, probably attacking an independent or debating an independent, because it's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you going after an independent? You could slip up. The risk is way too high. But if it was Joe, that's a debate that will be...
I would love to
everyone
cover that.
Well, that's unfortunate. Like, I bet if you were to ask survey 100 Americans and say, would you like a Donald Trump versus Joe Biden? I bet almost you'd get 99% plus.
Wait, why would you not want to debate? Yeah.
But that's the problem with like where we're at today is like the people want a conversation so bad that needs to happen between these two parties. And here we are in a Democratic Republic, and we still can't make a conversation happen between the two leading candidates.
That's well said, and it's also sad. By the way, still waiting for Beyond Meat and AMC. I'm starting to wonder, like, am I just missing something here, or what's going on? But anyway, am I on the wrong date here or something? But what RFK, by the way, says it caused his worm was eating too much tuna.
I did see that there was a part of a tuna, but then the article also talked about that he's done a lot of travels through Africa.
Yeah.
I would probably put that more, either one. I don't know.
Yeah, that's just weird. But anyway, sucks for him. Hopefully he's, he seems cognitively capable now. So maybe that was just more of like a fog at the time. All right, still waiting here for the news on Beyond Meat and AMC. Both of them are late. Okay, fine. Bitcoin. Ooh, Bitcoin just dropped under 62K. So I have a line. Of course, I have a line drawn somewhere at 61,741. We were talking about this in the live this morning. Of course, remember live. 61,741. I said we really don't want to break under that. You can see we actually wicked under that here, but we're basically bouncing on it. So I think this is a bad omen. I know that in the near term, the volatility is obviously going to be a lot greater than in the longer term, but I think this is the start of people just getting frustrated with asset valuations where they are and just saying, you know what, I'll just stick with my 5% on Robinhood Gold or money markets or whatever.
What do you look forward to in the market right now? Like, what are some of the, like, obviously you have the inflation numbers that come out, but are there any other major catalysts after these earnings before what, like what's next?
Yeah, I mean, really, this is where it gets quite exhausting because you have CPI and jobs. That's all that matters right now. CPI jobs, CPI jobs, CPI jobs, CPI jobs. Those are the only reports that matter because the Fed is just going to echo those. But here's the frustrating part. Even if we got like a deflationary CPI report next read, which we probably will on the headline because of oil prices, you're still going to have markets that say, well, we need 3 reports to make a trend.
Next.
What's the next one? So it's like, it's just this slow slog where really we're just going to be sitting at, are we going to get rate cuts this year or not? Honestly, probably until like July to September. I know it's going to seem so jaded, but it'll end up happening like right before the election. That's when the jobs numbers will weaken. Boom, they slash rates, 1%, emergency cut, market frickin' rallies. And then you have the election.
You think if the economy rallies going into the election, it's Joe wins?
Yeah, I mean, usually if the economy is devastated going into the election, the other party wins, the challenger wins. If the economy's finally seeing relief and doing well again, then yeah, probably the incumbent will win. But you have to know, like, today, supposedly the economy is doing really well, but we had, like, look at how much pain there is in just especially lower income households. Expensive grocery store prices, used car values are falling, so people's asset values are falling. They're used cars. Everybody who has a car has a used car, right? So their car values are falling. They can't get into housing. Groceries are expensive. Insurance premiums are insane. Some people just canceling their insurance. We were at the airport in Oklahoma or whatever for the House Hack Roadshow, and this guy's like, oh yeah, my house got destroyed by a tornado, and we're like, oh well, hopefully the insurance took good care of it. He's like, I can't afford insurance. Like, so you just lost your house? Yep. I'm like, oh my god, crazy.
Yeah, that's
so
insane.
I mean, maybe I shouldn't say it's crazy. It's just, it's sad is what it is, because there's an affordability issue. But anyway, at the same time as you have that sort of pain going on, you could show this up on screen here. 4.2. 4.2. You know what 4.2 apparently is right now? The estimate for GDP in Q2.
Oh, wow.
4.2?
That's
Dude,
pretty
rates
insane.
are never going to go down.
Yeah.
With that, they're never going to see rate cuts. There's no way. And at the same time, I'm reading through earnings calls, and where's the slowdown? Oh, the slowdowns in the United Kingdom, the slowdowns in Germany, the slowdowns in Europe, the slowdowns in China. What about the U.S.? Yep, doing fine. No indications of a slowdown yet. So it's weird because there's a lot of vocal pain over immigration, there was a whole nother piece I was going to make a video on it. I probably still will after this. There's a whole piece in the Doomburgers about how you might be able to blame illegal immigration for no rate cuts.
That would be pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's just going to create even more resentment.
So does that fuel the conspiracy that the current party is less restrictive on immigration because of that?
Hold on, let's come back to that. AMC, I don't know what the expectation was. Q1 revenue, 941. It's down 0.3% year over year. Adjusted EBITDA loss of $31 million versus a profit of $7 million last year. That's not good. Going back to a loss is not ideal. I don't know what was expected, though. I'm not seeing these here.
I see up 4% in the after
that makes
hours.
sense.
Really?
Bad news, up 4%. Like that's
For AMC, that makes about sense. That's
They
about
went
right.
from profitable to unprofitable quarter over quarter?
Yeah. Year over
Makes
year.
sense. Oh, year over year.
Yeah. Let me get the estimate. So the estimate. Oh, okay. They were expected to lose money, so people were thinking that they were going to lose money. Actually, the estimate was that they would lose a lot more money. So the estimate was that they were going to lose about $200 million and have negative EPS of about negative 79 cents, and they came in with only a $31 million loss. So. An adjusted loss per share of 79, so much less lost than expected, it looks like. And those are the current expectations.
Did Airbnb come out?
Yeah, it did. Looking for as much, their forecast missed. Looking for as much as a implied volatility here on the 1 day of 16% for AMC. So let's see how AMC is moving right now. AMC is up about 4.5%. Nice. So it's at about 334, and then I wonder if we can actually get data on Beyond. Nope, still no data on Beyond. Fine then. Let's look at the investor relations page for AMC, and let's see what they got going on. Okie dokie. So, earnings call will be out a little later. Yeah, they just posted this on the AMC website. First quarter results for 2024. All right, we'll give them my cookies. Okay. So here we go. Here's the sheet. Okay, the full press release. Would you just give me the darn document? You know, they do this all the time. It's like they make it hard for you to find where the document is. Are you really going to put it over here on Business Wire? I think they did. Oh, my Lord. Who does this? There we go. A PDF. That's what I want. Okay, total revenues of 941 compared with 954, so fractional decline there. Net loss improved for. That's interesting. They actually, the headline was that they went from profit to loss, but here they're saying their net loss improved from to negative 163.5 compared with a net loss of 235 mil for Q1 23. So I'll go back and see what that headline was in just a moment. There it is. Yeah. It was the adjusted. The adjusted EBITDA was a profit at the beginning of last year, whereas they just went back to a loss. Okay, pleased to report they outperformed expectations over the first quarter. I want to just look at the numbers. Let's just look at the numbers here. Those are going to be right here. Here we go. Revenues. Okay, so we went down on admissions. Honestly, that's not that bad.
No,
because remember,
that's-
the box office was down by 20-something%. And they're at down 0.8%.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. The revenues actually kind of held up. So box office minus 23%, revenues down, a percent. Boy, that's a great situation. So good for them. Still at that operating loss. And we've got that net loss of 161. Let's look at those cash flows. They don't do a lot of stock-based comp. You got a lot of sort of hourly work at the theaters. Mm-hmm. The executive staff actually isn't as large. But if I could get a cash flow statement here. We can look at segments too. U.S. International actually grew. U.S. is what declined. Fascinating. Yeah, stock-based comp was only $4.3 million. And if I look at Let's see here. Net loss, interest expense was 101 mil, depreciation was 81. So the very least you can add that back in. You're probably still net. Let's see here. Net cash used in operations. There it is. Free cash flow, negative $238 million in free cash flow. So 238. So about $250 million is going to operations and CapEx. And so if I look at their balance sheet, we have cash of 624 mil. That's about it.
So they have like 2.5 quarters left.
Of cash,
Yeah.
Yeah. They're gonna have to. They really need like some good movies to come out here so you could turn this around.
Yeah.
They must have raised prices because their attendance is down way more than their revenue. Let me see, 490 divided by 32, 362. Yeah, their attendance is down like 5.8%, but their revenues are only down about 1%. So good for AMC, I guess.
Yeah.
They're slightly down in after hours now.
Oh, they moved to down, eh?
Maybe this is too niche of an anecdote, but was the Taylor Swift movie in Q4?
Christian?
Was the Taylor Swift movie in Q4?
Yes.
Yeah. So
That's
then
Q4.
you would have had to come off of that really hard comp.
Yeah. And now they are mostly comparing to Q1 of last year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But you're right. That's I mean, good for. I think what Taylor's doing is great. Good for her. But yeah, you're right. Now down about 1.8. I think that's probably because maybe at the same rate that we're noticing, like, okay, cool. So they were able to raise prices. They had 5+% fewer admissions. Countable. They're countable. So therefore fewer admissions. And their revenue was only down 1%. That's good news. So you got that initial bump and less of a loss than expected. But this plummet here is probably because I think people were maybe looking at this going, they're about to run out of money.
Yeah.
It's not good. This is like, imagine you get to the fourth quarter and I feel like there are a lot of companies that are on the edge of running out of money. Tesla, Rivian, AMC. I get a lot of hate every time I say Tesla's like close to running out of money, but let's just say you don't lay off the supercharged team when you got oodles and oodles of cash. Just look at the balance sheet. You actually read the balance sheet. It's not great. But I don't think it's just those companies. I mean, I think so many of the other companies in the S&P 500 that we don't even think about, that don't even make it to our sticks here, so to speak. I think available cash is the biggest failure brewing at most companies right now.
Very interesting.
Yeah, there was a piece this morning in Doomberger about how some Harris poll found that of households surveyed that were making more than $100,000 a year, of those that use buy now, pay later, 43% of them have started defaulting on some of them.
Ouch.
Dang.
Oh, it's I don't know. It's the liquidity crisis that also makes fundraising very, very hard. I mean, knock on wood. I mean, I'm grateful at Housepack we were able to raise, what was it, somewhere around plus or minus $7 million over the last 30 days, which is phenomenal. But it is a very cash restrictive environment that we're in, and it makes sense when rates are what they are. So anyway, in afters, BTC is now under my line. 61.6, not happy about that. Yeah. I think that's a bad omen for going into CPI, which is a week from now.
It'll be probably a pretty rough week. Robinhood actually added a ton of gold members, so their memberships are pumping too. They went from 1.42 million to 1.68 million subscribers.
I mean, I think if you use Robinhood, there's really no reason not to be gold.
Yeah. If you're,
the card? Credit card?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it hasn't come out yet, right? It's just clickbait at this point?
I've only seen like one video made, so I think they're starting.
Yeah, the guy from Dumb Money.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, he's the only guy.
So they probably haven't shipped him yet.
And I think he probably just borrowed it.
Probably.
He probably had to send it
Prototype.
back.
Yeah.
Borrowed the actual credit card.
That's like,
see, credit cards are used for borrowing.
Yep.
You got
Fate
the actual
loves irony.
card on credit.
Yep.
I love them, by the way. Shout out to Dumb Money. They're great people. Wow. Okay. Well, that's AMC for you. Oh, Beyond Meat came out. Beyond Meat comes out with fiscal year revenue forecast of 330. That was roughly the estimate, so good for them. Q1 net rev beat 49.4 mil versus 44 mil expected. They're only bringing in 49 million of revenue in the quarter. That seems low for a company that's selling meat all around the world and in McDonald's and stuff. I don't know why does that seem so low? That's U.S. net revenue. International is 75, but that's still low. And then, of course, they had a loss per share because their operating expenses are around $180 million for the year. So, well, that's for the year. Q1, what was the Q1? Well, Q1 loss per share. I'll have to look at the statement here. But they lost about $32 million. So I wonder, Beyond Meat, investor relations, figure that out. And then we'll hit some of the other news that's going on. But let's see. Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat is up about 1%. So apparently it's not that bad. Probably because they're reaffirming their guide for the year, and they're not like an AI stock where you have to beat the beat. Okay, so here we go. What is this? Food service channel net revenues decreased 16% in the first quarter, primarily due to a 20% decrease in the volume of products sold, primarily reflecting a loss of distribution for certain items and softness in the category. So less demand, basically. Reflecting reduced sales of chicken products in the EU, softer demand for products in Canada. I don't think people care so much about this stuff anymore. Let me look. Beyond Meat. Let's do Google Trends. So trends.google.com. Beyond Meat. And it's just like Ron DeSantis' face. So I will ban fake meat. 5 years. Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
They're all impossible.
It's a meme stock.
Yeah.
Well, so just like Impossible Food?
Impossible Foods, I guess.
Yeah,
I feel like people won't really look it up
search
that
term.
way, right? Yeah.
But I can type in food company. So I could turn both into the food company. So they both bleed out.
Yeah.
So you really had this like craze in 2019 and then just a bleed out. Let me go back a little more. Let's try 2004 to present. Yeah, 2019 was the boom. And it was basically down from there. So, okay. Yep, now it turns slightly negative. Well, okay, let me go back to their statement here. That was right here. Okay, let's see. So, wow, everything's negative year over year.
Dang.
16% decline in retail, 16.2% decline in food service, which I'm assuming is like McDonald's. International food service down 28%. These are terrible numbers.
That's rough.
Those are very bad. And then we have volume of products sold, basically down as much as the revenues. So what about some of the sheets here? Like, do they actually have money to survive? Let's find out. Research and development expenses, almost $10 million in the quarter. What do you spend $10 million on? Like making new meat that Ron DeSantis might like?
Grow new meat. Grow new meat,
yeah. SG&A, $47 million, so most of it going to the sales there. Loss from operations, $53 million. They're not coming out of a loss here. How much is this company still worth?
What do you think, Mikey? Are you seeing more and more places start offering?
No, it's kind of plateaued. Like, I haven't seen much change. Oh, that's a tiny company.
They're tiny now. They're less than $1 billion.
Oh,
they're
their meat's small.
Oh, their meat's
tiny.
shrinking.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's because they lost all their pee-pee. Oh, pricing power is going in the toilet. Well, yeah, you don't have pricing power if consumer tastes change. You know, if people are like, yeah, Beyond Meat, this is sustainable, whatever. And it's like viral and hypey for a year. And then everybody's like, I'm going to have a burger. I'm going to go back to the whatever. Except for, I know you're, what is it, pescatarian?
Yeah.
But you're like itching for that 10 year to get back into the real meat. You want that real meat. I know you do.
The only meat that I really miss is
the
that
Bulgarian
jerky
That's
stuff.
pretty
Lukanka,
good.
Yeah. We have some in the fridge for you. So I brought some the other week.
Let's do it. After this, we're having
All
it.
right.
So,
In honor of Beyond Meat.
I'll eat your meat.
All right.
Right after this.
Goodness.
Subscribe to our OnlyFans. Check that out.
Okay, so let's see what their balance sheet looks like. You've got 158 millis in cashadolas, and I don't love using inventory because nobody's buying their crap anyway. So,
Do you remember when inventory used to be such a problem?
like shortages?
Yeah, inventory, not like no, but we went from shortages to overstock of
Yes.
inventory to have that big of a problem that was for Walmart.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's all right. So their current liabilities, they have enough cash, so they're not like at imminent risk of BK because they've got enough cash. Oh, they do have a lot of debt. So what's their interest expense? Oh no, they're not actually spending that much on interest. That's surprising. So those convertibles might be a really low rate. Sometimes they'll do zero coupon convertibles and just basically have this option to get into the stock. But yeah, the net loss, net cash used in operations, free cash flows, negative 33 million. So they could last another, 6 quarters before their meat, sours. But this is crazy. This is like the definition of I mean, that looks good, but this is like
Looks great.
It's not. It's really not good. Like I could bring, and we could do this as an experiment. I can bring impossible meats, and we can cook up some burgers, and we can do a taste test and see if you can figure out which one's which. With Beyond, you'll be able to tell for sure. With
Really?
Impossible, I could probably fool half this office.
Really?
I think so.
Okay. That's kind of tempting.
That'd be fun. That'd be a good taste.
Okay, more meat tasting. Okay. Yeah, I'm down. But then again, like, do we really want to put ourselves through that? Can we do like a beer tasting instead?
I'll do soda tasting.
Okay. Well, what else do we have today? What else is news? What's going on out there?
They're talking about rescheduling cannabis.
Oh, tell us about that.
Yeah, I thought that was huge. I read this on the Associated Press the other day, or maybe it was yesterday. So the DEA is in the process of rescheduling it from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. And this is by a recommendation from Health and Human Services Department. So the scheduling of drugs by the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, it follows 5 different schedules. So Schedule 1 is the most bad, right? It's the one they're strictest on. Basically,
Like a
it's
fentanyl maybe or whatever.
surprisingly not.
What?
I'll get to that. So Schedule 1 is there's no accepted medical use for them.
Okay.
And there's huge chance for abuse.
Oh, okay. Well, fentanyl's used in med all the time.
Yes. So like drugs include obviously things like heroin, that makes sense. But they also have LSD on here and cannabis and peyote, which
That's
is
Schedule 1?
cactus. Schedule 1.
Cannabis is in the Schedule 1.
Meaning highly addicting, huge chance for abuse, no medical value.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
How are they so behind?
I don't know. Schedule 2, still high potential for abuse, but now we're going into like accepted medical territory. So per the government, these are some drugs that are worse or not as bad as weed. We have meth, fentanyl, cocaine, a bunch of others. I don't want to get canceled by just saying these on YouTube, but there's a lot of chemicals over there that, and if I'm not mistaken, meth is used for weight loss.
I've never seen a fat person on meth.
That's except if you stop, the weight comes back like twofold.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder if that'll be true of like Ozempic.
I wonder.
Yeah, like if you have to stay on that forever, or like can you use it to get down in weight and then have less hunger because you're a smaller person and so you have less caloric needs. I don't know. That'll be really interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those like time will tell kind of things. But so they're moving it to Schedule 3, which is lower chance for abuse, still potentially there, but there's like medical value at that point too. And so I don't know, steroids and stuff usually fall into this this category. So, a little late. I think we've all kind of been on the agreement that it shouldn't be a Schedule 1 substance. But this would still not legalize cannabis recreationally. It's just a rescheduling. So
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, does that change how they prosecute, or what's the point of rescheduling if they're not changing the legality of it?
yeah, I mean it's still a crime if you don't have like a prescription or something, but it makes it more possible now for the medical field to explore the possibility of prescriptions or like a concentrate or something like that.
I see. So maybe it's like it opens it up for the FDA to use and approve for medical uses and stuff. Because like we mentioned, I mean, fentanyl's used. Summer, she was on fentanyl right when she was born. I just went through her birth docs. It's just like, it's bad. Like they usually use really like severe arcane medical jargon and like everything's a medical term, blah blah blah. This was like medical, Baby presented with massive belly. Like, good Lord. So, I mean, she was like a pregnant child.
Yeah, she was a little balloon.
Yeah, it's crazy and sad. We can probably actually find a picture of it. But anyway, she's good now. She's happy, which is great. But yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, because she was on fentanyl when she was born. Lauren, I think, when she was giving birth to Jack, they gave some
I think
fentanyl.
it's isn't it morphine?
That's the next level painkiller, like the actually the weaker of the two. More, it's fentanyl. Fentanyl's their strongest, and then they can go to morphine and then Tylenol. So that's at least what Summer went through. She
Got it.
She got the whole ride. It's pretty wild, but yeah, it's crazy. So, oh yeah, I found it. Here it is. Let's see if that'll pop up, and then I mean, so it's good that she's great now. Can we show? Yeah, look at that. And then if I back up, you can see with the light on, it's huge. She's really, I mean, like a 6-pound baby there. But if you take out all like that giant, problem she had, she was really only like a 1.8-pound baby, tiny.
She's doing good now?
She's great. Yeah,
Good.
she's great. She requires one-on-one attention though. She's, I think, just been through so much trauma that she can't really be left alone. She has to be held and quite frankly, babied a lot more.
Got it.
So,
Okay, I have one more question about the economy. Glad Summer's home doing well. All your babies are home now, so that's pretty
true.
sweet. So the Kubisi letter asks an interesting question. If the economy is so strong and if GDP is printing so, like the expectations are so high, and we're seeing a lot of these companies like Starbucks, Uber, Shopify, Netflix, a lot of these consumer products showing weaker guidance in the future, is the economy really that strong? Like if GDP is really coming in that high at expectations, but all these consumer companies are having weak expectations, how can we be sure that we're going to be a strong economy Q3, Q4?
well, you can't. I mean, it's a look at Etsy's earnings call. It was a complete disaster. Really almost previewed what was going to happen with Shopify. Would have been a good trade. But in hindsight now, because I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, we looked at the, I think it was Monday. Monday morning, we looked at the Etsy earnings call. And it's like, yeah, this is macro headwinds, not sure when they're going to end. Consumer discretionary spend isn't there. But your question is the economy really that strong? Well, the economy is not just discretionary spend. The economy is, and includes the military-industrial complex. Hey, that's quite explosive right now. Then you've got, government spending, the Inflation Reduction Act, that's keeping spending up substantially. Healthcare spending's up. All of these components.
But wouldn't this affect jobs? If guidances are coming in low, wouldn't the first thing a company do is start getting rid of jobs?
Well, yeah. But then again, you look at it comes down to what company. Is Lockheed Martin or Boeing going to fire people?
No,
Boeing just kills them.
But Starbucks is showing 20% drop in after hours with a 6% drop in traffic through the store.
Shopify.
Starbucks.
What?
Starbucks fell 20% after reporting, and they had a
after the report.
6% drop in foot traffic.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're starting to see, are we starting to see some weaker cracks?
It's a good tweet.
In the economy. Like I thought it was a great tweet. It asks an honest question.
Yeah. I mean, but all of these are consumer discretion. DoorDash, CVS, Etsy, eBay, Shopify, Netflix, Uber, Starbucks, they're all consumer discretionaries. So I think the way to look at it is no, not every part of the economy is strong, but yes, the economy as a whole can still be strong. Is this a consumer discretionary recession where GDP is 4% because AI chips are printing like crazy and nothing comes of it other than those companies suffering? Totally possible.
Okay.
It doesn't. I don't think that this decline in consumer discretionary has to turn into a broader recession, but it certainly can. So I'm paying attention to it, but mostly because I look at, what freaks me out a little bit is Palantir telling us that only 10% of companies have data that's AI ready. So all of a sudden, the total addressable market for AI is actually a lot smaller. So the real question is, what happens when you have consumer discretionary already in the toilet? Then the Inflation Reduction Act spending stops. That goes into the toilet. So the energy investment stops. Then the AI euphoria, that bubble pops, so to speak, and you stop getting the crazy growth spending. Now you're starting to put all of the sort of almost like a key. It's like you're picking the lock of the key. We're gonna get to recession. Consumer discretionary. All right, what's next? You know, you're picking that lock of recession, and it's just a matter of time until like all of them line up, and here we are.
Yeah,
We'll get rate cuts then, but it's gonna suck because a lot of people will lose their jobs.
Gotcha. Do you think that Biden's pushing for a ceasefire right now and kind of holding back weapons? Obviously, do you think it's more of a political thing for the United States, or do you think he's trying to help geopolitically? Do you think he's trying to save votes?
Well, I mean, people are obviously frustrated about how long this has been going on in the Middle East between not just Iran and Israel, and the escalations we've seen there, but what's going on in Gaza and the tremendous suffering that's going on. You know, Biden, he gave a red line, and his red line was don't go into Rafah, and Israel's like, yeah, good one, we're going into Rafah. Now, obviously, Israel wants their hostages, and this makes sense. So, you know, we don't have to delve into like the explanations of both sides. I feel like every time I talk about this topic, somebody gets mad at me for not like, you know, sympathizing with every single angle, but I can't do a 20-minute explanation every single time I touch on Israel and Gaza. So, but as far as, you know, Biden's sort of respect in the international community, it unfortunately gets weakened when his position is don't go into Rafah, and then Israel goes into Rafah. So now it's like, fine, we won't give you as many weapons. But the reality is Israel's probably already got enough. They probably already have enough. And I think Israel also knows that they have the bailout. And at any point, if they get attacked again by Iran, all the weapons will come right back. You know, so I think, I don't know, it's just like BS politics and like showmanship, and none of it's really real. The second Iran sends another launch of drones, you know, the US and UK will be over there shooting them all out of the sky for Israel. Remember that stat? I don't know if I mentioned it yesterday. Israel gets the most amount of foreign military aid from the United States out of any other country in the world.
Wow.
They get the most. Oh, it's interesting.
Crazy.
And they're also obviously you're significantly smaller than some of our other allies. But anyway, so, okay, what else do we have?
Trump responded to the gag order again today.
Oh, what was his response today? I didn't see that.
Give me liberty or give me death. When the judge threatened to throw him in jail over it.
See, like people that are Trump supporters love that.
Yeah.
They're like, this is our martyr. You know?
All caps on truth.
Yeah.
All caps.
And he's leaning into it so hard. Like he knows how to market so well. Like him or hate him, he knows how to market to his base. I don't think he ever... I just can't think of times that he's pissed off his base.
Yeah. I am surprised that he has stayed on Truth Social. I am surprised that he hasn't
Why?
made the transition over to X. He had a way bigger audience.
But people just repost his stuff on X anyway.
And it's still a little surprising because remember he was like asking to be let out of his contract. Like it was he was trying to figure out how much time he had left in his contract to be exclusively posting on Truth. And then that expired from what I understand. And he's still posting on Truth. But I actually no, it's only in his best interest to stay on Truth because of DJT.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is if he left, then DJT would crater before his lockups release basically, and right now he's basically got billions of dollars in net worth tied up in DJT, and I have to say the stock is staying up.
Crazy.
It's pretty remarkable for what we know is not a fundamentals company or play.
Yeah,
it's basically. This stock is basically the emotion around Donald Trump's brand. That's really all it is.
It's brilliant for him.
It's totally brilliant. Every politician should have a SPAC, and then their stock can fluctuate.
You run the risk of getting memed, which is just as dangerous.
If you have a SPAC?
Yeah, because if DJT had just gone to zero.
Oh, well, then you just point the finger at the people running it or whatever.
Oh, yeah. And then you hire auditors that...
Oh, BF boogers. Okay.
All right, so we've talked Trump, we've talked market, we've talked earnings.
Bitcoin now under my line.
Oh, wow.
61.5. Now, I realize it's the minute chart, but, we were struggling with this morning because we were moving right down to it, bounced on the line. Then we actually started running a bit. We were just sort of watching this on the minute and the 5-minute chart. I'm actually going to delete this because it doesn't matter anymore. But couldn't get past 63, couldn't even get past 62.8, and so here we are now breaking under 61.7. So not ideal in the near term. Probably just as you're getting these ARM earnings coming in, down 7%, SolarEdge 6%, Beyond Meat's down 10. How much lower can they go? And there's $7.40 stock. They just lost 10%. They're going to be under $500 million company. What did I say? Warren Buffett? I think you asked yesterday.
Yeah.
What's he holding all his cash for?
Yeah.
$500 million companies. He could literally buy 360 or whatever Beyond Meats.
Can Warren Buffett get the meat up?
Ooh, see,
All
that's
right,
that's
that's a
the
great
big question. That's a very important question, because if Warren Buffett can't get it up, then who can? Charlie Munger? Oh, too soon.
Did you see when he accidentally?
He's my favorite, of the underground investors.
Oh.
Munger.
Oh.
Yeah, he's underground, right?
What do you mean?
Yes.
He's.
Stop. Oh,
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Well, it's funny you guys say that because Charlie, I don't know if you guys saw this, but he has his new partners at Berkshire now, and they sit to his left, and he leaned over and called one of them Charlie on accident.
Warren did. Yeah.
That was
I
super
saw that.
sad.
Yeah,
It was sweet but sad.
It is. He got a standing ovation after that, Charlie Munger. I mean, poor guy. But anyway, okay, great. So what else?
I think we're caught up.
Is it? Okay, we talked about the warm cannabis. Oh, we didn't yet touch on the assassination attack or attempt on Zelensky. Did y'all hear about that?
The conspiracy in me just reads like the internal strength that Zelensky has on his own camp isn't very strong, and that people are tired of the war. I mean, that'd be so exhausting.
Oh, that's not the direction I thought you were going to go. I thought when you said conspiracy, I thought maybe it was all plotted by Ukraine to make it seem like, look, they're trying to take out the president.
There's always that possibility.
Yeah.
Just like there's all, and same thing with what Russia's done. It's like, oh, Ukraine did this. It's like, no, that wasn't Ukraine. Whatever.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that, I don't know. I just think that people trying to plot to. I honestly think that if you wanted somebody out of your camp, you would just say, oh, they're conspiring to kill me.
Oh, I see.
So,
yeah.
but I don't know.
This is pretty intense, because they're talking about two senior officials who joined the Ukraine Security Service, known as the SBU, before the invasion of 2022. So they were already in position, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Apparently, were caught. And there are text message screenshots of this, audio recordings of this. I'm not sure if there's also video or if they're just photos. But apparently, these Ukrainian officials talking with an FSB Russian handler. And Russia was allegedly offering $50,000. And apparently the assassination of Zelensky was supposed to be a gift for Putin's inauguration. Yeah. And the way they would do it is they were supposed to send a GPS location of the convoy of the president and some other senior officials. They missile strike it. Then they use a drone, first-person point of view drone, to see is anybody still moving or twitching or remotely alive, to crash into them. And after that drone attacks, you get a second missile strike, also known as a double tap, to cover up the fact that a drone was there as well. Crazy. I mean, this sounds like it's something straight out of the opening scene of a Bourne movie or something.
Yeah.
Did I say Bourne? I want to make sure.
Bourne movie. Yes,
Properly
you're right.
enunciate.
Yes.
I said Bourne.
Yes.
Okay. So
He's hardcore born. Keep going.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. Obviously, if it was real or what, it was foiled. Russia is gaining ground in the eastern Donetsk regions. This is partly because Ukraine is running out of funding and weapons and ammunition, much like.
Didn't we just give him $64 billion?
I think that
that's
takes
still
time
on
to
hold.
show up.
It's
Is
still
it
on hold, I think.
I thought Biden signed that. Let's find out about that. That's a good question. So the $64 billion congressional aid Ukraine. Let's see what we can find out.
Is it
about
64?
That. So we passed the 60.8. Okay, so House passed the 60.8 in delayed Ukraine aid. So the House passed it, but what about the Senate? So they should be able to slam dunk that. Senate, Ukraine aid, mostly because they have control. Yep, House on Tuesday passed the $95 billion foreign aid package. Of course, Biden's going to sign it. So I think it's just a matter of time. Yeah, here it is. New York, aid to Ukraine is on the way. Here's how it might help. Blah blah blah. Okay. Yeah. So it's in the works, as they say. Yeah. Biden signs Ukraine aid. That was part of the TikTok ban. That's right. Interesting. So that's signed. So it's just a matter of time.
So yeah, Biden did sign that. It was the $95 billion war aid package, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 60.8 of that for Ukraine.
So how are they running out of?
Well, it takes time to get there. I mean, they just signed this on April 23rd. You know, today's May 8th, and it's not like they just wire money. They generally send supplies.
Are you telling me the government's not efficient?
Well, yeah. So that it's been 15 days. I mean, they gotta ship literally, 115 millimeter tank rounds or mortars, drones, or whatever. Probably gonna take a couple of months at least.
I'm just so surprised that this war is still going.
That's
Over 2 years now. Right?
I just don't understand. Like, if Russia has such a, I just can't understand why Russia just hasn't finished the war yet.
well,
Maybe that seems
because
so
U.S.
simple.
funding. It's like the amount of intelligence. You see, we can participate in helping Ukraine with intelligence, and Russia wouldn't know the difference. We could use all the satellites and the CIA information and technology and the surveillance equipment we have, and like, here's the target, here's the GPS, here's the bomb.
Yeah.
You could. Okay.
Well, I wonder how many times the U.S. is like, Zelensky, we saved your life again.
Yeah, probably quite frequently. This is basically a proxy war between the U.S. and Russia.
Yeah, it's just sad.
It is.
Do you think Trump? Because
causes a lot
I
of
was
death.
reading that Trump will give ground. Like, that his thesis is that Ukraine should give up their ground and we should end the war.
Well,
Do you
yeah,
think-
because it would stop the loss of life and just try to start rehabilitating a country. A war is not.
What are the
really-
odds that Trump actually gets in office and does that? Well,
Well-
not the fact that he gets in office, because
Yeah.
it's gonna be very intense.
Just does that.
Yeah. But how?
Well,
would he
let's
get in
just
office
say,
and do that?
whether you like Trump or not, I think a lot of people believe that if the status quo is no deal is made, then at least Trump has a non-zero chance of doing something different, right? Because he could just do the same, which is status quo, the war keeps going. But at least there's a chance that something changes. I think that's the way some folks are looking at it. Now, that could be worse. You know, some people look at that and go, oh, nukes. Other people look at it and go, no, it'll actually end. But,
Yeah.
the status quo right now is clearly 2 years of nothing.
So I wonder why Biden doesn't do that. Why couldn't he gain such favorability? Well, he'd gain a ton of favorability by ending the war.
Would he, though? I mean, the highest priority right now, it seems to be for people, is the economy and immigration. I don't know how much Ukraine really, it's sad to say, but affects people on their daily lives.
Yeah.
Are people really voting for Ukraine, or are they voting about inflation, immigration, the economy, interest rates?
I do think people are tired of sending money over.
Oh, well, there's no doubt about that.
So I think that
Yeah.
if he said no more money, like, you guys have to fight this for yourself,
Yeah.
would be interesting. All hypotheticals.
Yeah. So then you've also got the FTX news. Did you hear that they're expected to pay back 118% of their claims owed?
I
Yeah.
can't believe that. Yeah.
Really rare in a bankruptcy, by the way. I still remember Taylor Swift signed an agreement with FTX, but I guess the guy was too busy playing video games to actually sign his portion of the agreement. So she dodged a bullet on that one. Yeah, I think after that they went for Capital One, who sponsored all of her events. But FTX could have been literally the branding for every single Taylor Swift concert. Wouldn't that have been
Wow.
crazy? Yeah. But they went BK right before, so big save there on T-Swizz.
Do you know how much they offered her? I
It
have the
sounded
number.
like it was some in the 100 million plus range.
100 million.
Was
that's
it?
That's what CNN says.
Yeah. Oh, CNN. Fake news. All of them are. Fox, fake news. Reuters, fake news. Do you know, like, the amount of hate Reuters gets now? Probably because they keep going after Tesla.
Yeah.
Well, Elon commented again something about Reuters
Today,
today.
just today.
yeah.
He's like, they're the absolute worst, because they ran an article about the German gigafactory having like a one-day shutdown, and they worded it
yeah.
in such a way where it's like
It implied 4.
they gave him a day off. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
a shutdown; it was a day off for the employees, and this is their smallest factory. So anyway, I think Omar tweeted that, and then
Yes.
Elon responded to that, and he was like, "Reuters is just the worst."
Yeah, yeah. What's interesting is you wonder. I mean, some of what Reuters is probably hearing probably does have some truth. That's the issue. So in a way, to some extent, Reuters gets sort of the social media gaslight. Now, Reuters, I don't think I think they just recently started a subscription where retail can actually pay for them. But Reuters makes most of their money as a wire service to other news agencies. So the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, CNN, Fox, whatever it is. So I don't know that they really care, but it is interesting. And anything Reuters says now in the Tesla community is bad. Reuters, bad. Some of it probably has some truth, like the SEC investigation that's going on. Just did a video on that, so we don't have to go super deep into that. But, one thing that I thought was interesting, I was looking at the 4680s.
Yeah.
Elon suggested on Battery Day in 2020 that we would get to 100 gigawatts of battery manufacturing capacity with these new types of batteries. And if you add up the battery capacity for the Cybertrucks today, maybe you're at 1/100th of that in 2024 compared to 2022's goal of basically being at 100. So that was really interesting.
Yeah.
I think that just gives ammunition for people to go after Elon who don't like Elon. It's sad, but he also does attract some of that to himself, whether it's, his spite for regulators or what.
Yeah.
But anyway, good news on the FTX bankruptcy. It's so rare to see that in a bankruptcy. I did see BlockFi just sent some people's deposits back.
Yeah, I got a Zelle from BlockFi.
Zells, yeah, they sent Zells out. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting. And then you've got, but that's if you were a depositor of the company. If you were an investor in the company, you lost all your money. But anyway, anything else?
No, I think we're...
Think that does it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Let's play that music.
Even though I'm a licensed financial advisor, licensed real estate broker, and becoming a stockbroker, this video is neither personalized financial nor real estate advice for you. It is not tax, legal, or otherwise personalized advice tailored to you. This video provides generalized perspective, information, and commentary. Any third-party content I show should not be deemed endorsed by me. This video is not and shall never be deemed reasonably sufficient information for the purposes of evaluating a security or investment decision. Any links or promoted products are either paid affiliations or products or services we may benefit from. I also personally operate an actively managed ETF and hold long positions in various securities mentioned, including potential short positions. However, I have no relationship to any issuers, nor am I presently acting as a market maker.